Hello, it is Sunday, September 18th, 2022. I'm Chris Remo, and welcome back to the New York Times Crossword Daily Solve. It's a Sunday puzzle today, which means it is a large grid. We'll have something themed, and it may take a while. I'm going to do my best to make that not so much the case today, because I was up late last night with a friend attempting to solve the most recent listener crossword, which is just a deviously difficult weekly cryptic crossword published here in the UK, and it was one of the most difficult ones I can remember. We didn't finish. So anyway, I'm off to a late start this morning. That means I would like to get through this crossword, which I'm hoping will be less of an interminable solve than that one, in something of, I don't know, slightly accelerated time. We'll have to see. Anyway, this hopefully accelerated solve of the Sunday puzzle has been brought to us by Lewis William, Ryan Eves, and, as always, the inestimable Hood Monster, the invaluable Timothy Mark, and the indomitable Shulmaster. So thank you so much to the 5 of them, benefactors of the Daily Solve Patreon campaign, for bringing us this edition of the Daily Solve and for their generous contributions more generally. If you'd like to become a benefactor like those 5 and get the Daily Solve Let's Check the Crosses mug, you can find that at patreon.com/dailysolve. And if you become a patron at any level, you can, of course, get access to all of the bonus videos that have gone up on the channel to date, as well as the new ones that go up each week. And thank you to everybody who has done so, who is a patron. I do very much appreciate it. It does allow me to keep this going each day, so thank you. And you can subscribe to the channel for free, of course, on YouTube. Thank you for everybody who's done that. And you can join the Daily Solve Discord chat server in a link in the description field underneath the video to become part of that community. So, all that said, let's get on with the puzzle. This is entitled Because I Said So. The Sunday puzzle, of course, uniquely titled among the days of the week. And it was constructed by Katie Hale, who has constructed around half a dozen puzzles, and I learned is another London-based American. So nothing particularly significant about that, other than I found that out, I think, the last time she set a puzzle. Anyway, it was edited, as always, by Will Shorts. So let's start solving. All right, fish tank buildup. Fish tank buildup. Algae, perhaps? Does algae build up in a fish tank? Here we have eau de vie, water, the water of life in French. So what about this? Surrounded by. If something's surrounded by something, it could be amid that thing. Tragic showgirl of song. Lola. She was a showgirl from the song Copacabana. And chutzpah. Chutzpah is grit, maybe? You say you've got grit, you've got chutzpah? I'm not certain about that. Disney film with a titular heroine. Oh no, this doesn't look like... This is Moana. So chutzpah is... Why can't I see it? I don't know. What about this? Mechanics go-to parenting phrase. So these will be things... I see. So we'll have parenting phrases, much like the classic parenting phrase, because I said so, as paid tribute in the title of the puzzle. What about this? Painter whose motifs include ants and eggs. Is it Dolly? Oh, chutzpah could be gall. You've got some gall. You've got chutzpah. Some chutzpah. There we go. Okay. So, like PETA, or is it PETA? People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. Anti-fur, probably. There we go. Okay, so mechanics go-to parenting phrase. I'll turn your gears or something. That doesn't really sound like something you'd say as a parent. I don't know. What about this? French liver. Foie? As in foie gras? Is that what that is? Nail polish brand with a Tickle My Francie shade. Is that OPI? It came up the other day, and I correctly remembered it. And this time I correctly remembered it slightly faster. I suppose this is evidence to suggest that we have to encounter these things several times in order for it to actually get digested into our brain. That's why when I learn something in a crossword once, I tend not to remember it the next time. You need a few times to get it in your brain. Okay, poker option. A raise, maybe? You raise someone's bet? This does look like I'll turn something, doesn't it? I mean, turning is kind of a mechanics phrase. I mean, you can have, I mean, that's more of a machinist's sort of thing. Let's see. Well, whatever. Let's put in turn and see what happens. Gift for writing. A pen set, maybe? Bog product. You could have a peat bog. And noshes, eats. That's kind of a Yiddish sort of bit of terminology, I think. Feel that gym session. If you feel that gym session, you ache. And pricing word. You could say each, you know, $3.50 each in pricing. What something might appear out of or disappear into. Thin air, maybe. There we go. That works well. Oh, I'll turn this car around. There we go. Okay. I'll turn this car around. Ah, very good. I see. So I thought this was going to be phrases. I thought this was going to be sort of a mechanics phrase that could be applied to parenting, but it's the other way around, which makes more sense, I suppose. It's a parenting phrase that could be imagined in the context of a mechanics garage or something. I'll turn this car around. And of course, that's classically what you see an exasperated parent saying in a film with unruly children in the backseat. Okay, solo could be, I don't know, what about this? Give the nod. You assent to something? So solo, why don't I see what that is? It doesn't seem like this could be very many things. What about this one? Some remote power sources. Oh, it could be remote as in remote control for a television. AA batteries? AAs? Maybe? So solo. Star? Why is that? Oh, what is it? It's so frustrating. This looks like, oh no, never mind. I was going to say upstairs, but the I is in the wrong position. Personal trainer's go-to parenting phrase. Get up. Oh, I don't know. Large number. I am not what I am, speaker. And pioneering sci-fi film that was snubbed for the Best Visual Effects Oscar for its use of computers. Oh, interesting. I don't know. I'm interested in what that is. What about this? Stephen King's first published novel. Oh, it must be Carrie. I didn't know that was his first novel, or first published novel anyway, but it must be. So large number, a scad? Scads of things, large numbers of things. I am not what I am. Oh, I don't know. Is it Cato or someone like that? In the past, no. In the past could be ago. I don't know. Who is this? I'm fascinated. And then, oh, Tron. Oh, interesting. Tron snubbed for the Best Visual Effects Oscar for its use of computers. That's interesting. Boy, that's changed, hasn't it? Okay, so this does look like, oh, sit up straight. Right, there we go. Okay, so personal trainer and a sort of stereotypical parent. There we go. Oh, Iago, Shakespearean character. Okay, there we go. So conductors go to parenting. Conductor, right. Every time I read these, I read it as if it's sort of a new clue. Ah, what could this be conducted? No, it's a theme thing. It'll be some sort of punny. Oh, I suppose it's not really it's a pun in the context of the clue specifically. So conductors go to parenting phrase. It'll be something about going too fast or going too slowly or being too loud or being too quiet, because those are kind of the things that you could boil down what a conductor's role to. I mean, it's a bit simplistic, but something like that. But I can't think what it would be. What about this? Elementary particle named for a Greek letter. Oh, tau. That's some kind of particle, but don't ask me to explain exactly what. What about this? Liquor in tiramisu. Oh, is it amaretto? Or no, are those the biscuits? Oh, I don't know. Let's keep looking. Called a strike, say. Umped, maybe? Umpired in a baseball game? My first thought was called a strike as an industrial action, but then I thought, I bet this is being clever with a bit of misdirection, and it was. Okay, so let's see, could that give us anything else here? Eightfold. Octuple? There we go. Jay-Z and Kanye West song that samples Try a Little Tenderness. I don't know. Pigeon coop. I don't know about that either. What a bad dancer is said to have 2 left feet. There we go. That's a nice large string of letters. That's good. It's a drag. It's a drag. A tow? Because a tow truck drags your car? Not sure if that's right. What about this? Emmy-winning word. Oh, Sull Award is somebody. Comes up in the crossword not infrequently. Jay-Z and Kanye. Okay, right, yeah. Oh, a coat. A pigeon coat. There we go. Yes, C-O-T-E. You could have a sheep coat as well. Okay, so what about this? Mathematician's go-to parenting phrase. Mathematician. I told you something, so this would be Otis. Okay, I don't know this song, so I'm just going to have to hope this is right. Boy, I wasn't completely certain about It's a Drag either. I kind of put that in hoping I would get other things that are extremely convincing, but I think I'm going to move on. Singer James. Etta James is a great jazz singer. Like some potato chips and language. Salty language and salty potato chips. This looks like I told you something. This will be something about maybe variables or I don't know. A4 automaker. Looks like Audi, the automaker. And in this matter, here too, maybe, we declare here too that something very official will happen because I said so. This does look like amaretto. Is it amaretto? It is amaretto. I mean, surely it is. Liquor and tiramisu. I'm sure that's correct. So what are the ones that are the biscuits? Because Amaro deals with almond, and there are almond biscuits that have sort of a similar name to this. Oh, I don't know. I can't remember it. It's completely pointless. I said I was going to try and do this quickly. So what am I doing musing about amaretto and related biscuits? Road trip determination. Your determination would be your route, or one of your determinations anyway. Your and my relative, our. So this is clever. So we have a question mark indicating a bit of punnery or wordplay, and we think this would mean a person related both to you and to me. But in fact, I think it means a word that is related to your and my, which would be our, another sort of possessive pronoun. Okay, decade in which many in Gen Z were born. The aughts, early 2000s, the 2000s. Part of a homemade Halloween costume, a sheet maybe, a simple ghost costume or something. Main ingredient in poi, is it taro? Not sure. Let's delete that. Roof overhang could be an eave. Horror star Chaney, Lon Chaney. I think he was he known as the man of the thousand faces? Lon Chaney? I think possibly. What about this V? That looks enticing. Kind of diagram. It is a Venn diagram. There's circles that overlap and show subsets, essentially, of different groups of anything, I suppose. Okay, arid. So sear could be a word for arid, very dry. Dry, sear, arid. And, oh, don't use that tone with me. Aha, right. Conductor's phrase. So here we're referring both to, obviously, musical tonality, the tone of a particular instrument, or the tone that a player is applying to it. And of course, then again, our stereotypical parents. I keep imagining sort of parents in some, I don't know, 80s comedy or something, like one of those family vacation movies or whatever they were called, that sort of thing. Anyway, part of NATO, so NATO is the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. So the A would be the Atlantic for the Atlantic Ocean, ATL. An animal working in the DMV in Zootopia was the sloth, playing on the stereotype of incredibly slow service at the Department of Motor Vehicles in the United States. A rose stood up, maybe? And a large number could be a ton, so there we go, that matches our SCAD. Blank Ledbetter, a.k.a. Leadbelly. Oh, right, this is a very important American folk musician. What was his name? Not sure. Share accommodations. Oh, right. I was thinking share accommodations and now, but it could be to share accommodations, to sort of be somebody's roommate or something like that. To double up in a room. What about this? Blank it. Informal challenge. Beat it or... not sure, actually. What about this? This looks gettable. Lemon drop. There we go. Lemon drop. That's a candy. And I think also maybe some kind of thing you can bake. Not sure. Maybe I'm thinking of lemon bars. Pretentious. Arty, maybe, sometimes is sort of used as a synonym for pretentious. I've told you 100 times. Right, okay, that's the mathematician's go-to parenting phrase. I told you 100 times. There we go. Yes, this fits neatly in with our sort of thematic. This is impressive. Look how long these answers are. This is really something. Snack cake with creamy swirls. Oh, ho-hos? Are those made by Hostess? I think maybe. Kind of big American commercial bakery. Star Wars Order. Oh, right. So my first thought was Sith, and then I thought, that's not an order. Then I thought, yes, it is. I just wasn't thinking of the proper meaning of order, in this case meaning a sort of religious order. Sith, Darth Vader's other people. Okay. Like a clear night. Star-filled? Starry? Starred? I don't know. Seems like it should be something like that, but I'm not certain. Okay, where can we look? I haven't looked at this yet. Oh, no, we have looked at this. Informal challenge. Oh, I just don't know. What about this? So here's French. Jardin d'enfants, par exemple. So, kindergarten? I mean, it looks literally like gardens of children. Is that kindergarten? I mean, that's what that would mean in German, surely. And it's plural. I don't know. I'm not sure. I feel like I should be able to get that, but I don't seem to be able to. Tech and Culture magazine since 1993. It must be Wired magazine. And has left the office, e.g. if someone has left the office, that person is out. Okay, TV drama with spin-offs set in Hawaii and New Orleans. Well, I certainly have heard of NCIS. What does that stand for? I don't know. National Crime Investigation Service? I have absolutely no clue. I don't know. Is it naval something? Are they at sea? That seems unlikely. Oh, well, I don't know. That's Hawaii. Well, I don't know. I have no idea. Okay. What is this? Oh, I see. It's another French word, of course. And I should have known it would be. I was trying to think of what this might mean in English, but I shouldn't have, because... So if it said Jardin d'enfants and then in English, for example, then the answer could well have been in English. But the par exemple, the for example, also being in French, means the answer will be in French. And I just wasn't thinking about that at all. So look out for that. So what we're looking for is école. This is French for school. So, and we have the plural, a pluralized version of it. I mean, that's trickier than a lot of the French you get, because you have to be able to read this whole phrase and then also know the answer. So anyway, école. Okay. Texas politician Beto in the U.S., a U.S. politician Beto O'Rourke, and then ran for the U.S. presidential nomination and then didn't receive it. Newswire company is UPI, I think United Press International, maybe? Okay, city on the Irtysh River. Is it Omsk, maybe? Kind of seems like it might be linguistically. But let's look at the crosses here. Cornerstone abbreviation. So on a cornerstone, you often is of a building, you often see engraved an established day, so the date of the building was erected. So it could be established. And to parcel out, ration says to meet them out. So there we go. Small building block is an atom. And an animal that turns white in the winter. Oh, is it a stoat? I didn't know that. I guess it's true, because I said so. Okay, Sellers franchise with these. So this is referring to Peter Sellers, surely, the great English comic actor who played Inspector Clouseau in the Pink Panther films. Also an incredible, multifaceted set of roles in Dr. Strangelove, the Stanley Kubrick film Dr. Strangelove. Okay, Swiss Peak. So here again we have, so here this time peak is in English, but Swiss, instead of saying Swiss in English, we have Suisse in French. And so that suggests that Alp, one of the peaks in Switzerland, will be spelled in the French manner with the E on the end. So there we go. Okay, Reed of the Velvet Underground, the great rock musician, Lou Reed of the Velvet Underground, and an ingredient in homemade hand sanitizer. Homemade hand sanitizer. Interesting. I never actually made homemade hand sanitizer when some people were sort of doing that early in the pandemic. So I'm not sure what this is. I don't know. I should probably stop staring at it because I don't know. Pork cut, a pork loin. Oh, I spelled Pink Panther incorrectly. Pank Panther. Strange. Pork cut would be a pork loin. There we go. Good thing I had that cross. That kind of thing can happen when you do things. You can end up in that situation where you do that in the wrong order and then you never end up going back to it. For instance, if I had solved these two downs and then never looked at pork cut, that would have been in there, and in a Sunday grid would have been a real nightmare to find. Anyway, charm could be entice, but turn this car around, looks right. In charm, I don't know. Monarchy. That's a key in, I can't even remember. It's probably KEA because we have Mauna Loa, which is LOA, and then Mauna Kea, I guess. Right, so maybe it's not a key. What is this? It's in Hawaii, I think? I don't actually know what it is, but it's funny. It comes up in the crossword all the time. It's sort of silly that I've never learned it. I should just learn about what these are. Are they volcanoes? Boy, that's embarrassing. Anyway, let's keep looking. Blank port in a storm. Any port in a storm. And up to 11 meters for a pterodactyl. That must be the wingspan. That is outrageous. That is truly preposterous. 11 meters. Are you serious? I can't even picture a flying animal being that large. That is unbelievable. That is unbelievable. 11 meters. Are you kidding? That's like an aircraft. What on earth? How was I not aware that pterodactyls were that outrageously enormous? I probably was as a child, but what's funny is that, because like a lot of children, I was really into dinosaurs, but what's funny is that measurement would have been much less meaningful to me. I wouldn't have had the context for why that is so truly outrageous. Wow. I'm flabbergasted. Anyway, let's keep looking. So to charm someone is to endear yourself to them, perhaps. And then, like some restrictions are something to restrict. What about this? Oh, aloe gel. Look at that. We found another way to get aloe into the crossword. The classic medicinal plant, the official medicinal plant of the New York Times crossword, has found its way in through other means. Oh, dietary restrictions. There we go. Okay. Baroque painter Guido. My first thought would have been Rene. But this I makes that unlikely. Is that maybe an Italian equivalent of Rene? I'm not sure. Let's check this. Check it out for yourself. Well, actually, yeah, probably is an E because something C. Go see, maybe. Check it out for yourself. Go see. The Burden of Proof author. Scott Turow is an author, right? That's somebody. Is that? I have absolutely no idea if that's the answer here. Well, no, I do have an idea. My idea is that it's Turow. I've realized we all say, I have no idea. Often when we do actually have some idea, we just aren't certain. As in this case, I do have an idea. I just don't know. What about this? Like many resorts, seaside. Many resorts are seaside resorts. What about this? Guam features a sailboat and a palm tree, the flag of Guam. So PM, okay, this does look, I think this probably is Turow, who I think is Scott Turow. I sort of have seen that name before. PM times are afternoons, and then Christmas color for Elvis is blue. Why is that true? It seems like specific knowledge. It must not be very specific knowledge if you're more familiar with Elvis Presley than I am. So epitome of simplicity, ABC, as in the great Jackson 5 song, in which ABC is used as the epitome of simplicity. It's as easy as ABC. Okay. Oh boy, I don't know Ledbetter's first name, or Leadbelly's given name, I should say. Blanket. Okay, I don't know it. Oh, this looks like maybe prove it. Maybe double up is wrong. Is there any way that's true? Everything else has really worked out very well. Maybe I'll leave it out for now, just to avoid one of those situations like that loin I had up there. Okay, insult could be a diss. So you could, actually, I suppose it could be both a noun and a verb. You could diss somebody, or you could insult somebody with a diss. So there we go. And similarly, insult or insult, depending on the stress. Hospital area could be the ICU, maybe the intensive care unit, and it might be changed or made up. Your mind, you make up your mind or change your mind. Look in Latin. Ecce, as in ecce homo, behold the man. Yeah, that's probably right. Took to court, you sued somebody, you took them to court. From where? Whence? Whence? Go back whence you came. Go back to whence you came, to from where you came. Okay. Color classification. A hue, possibly? And Naval Academy grads. Ensigns, maybe. That's a sort of low naval rank, so that would make sense for a graduate. Okay, farmyard mamas are ewes, female sheep. And that's amazing. Could be wowee, maybe? Air traffic controllers go-to parenting phrase. Okay, we haven't seen one of these in a while. So, you're grounded. There we go. That's very good. Air traffic controller, you're grounded. These are very clever. Okay, and... oh, bring it is the informal challenge, finally. Okay, so that is double up. This may be Huddy Ledbetter, maybe? Does that work with this? Oh, words seen at the end of many Jean-Luc Godard movies. Fin, for finish, and a lot of French in this puzzle. And this is appropriate. I wonder if this was intentional or if this was a coincidence, because I do think these crosswords are scheduled, in some cases, years in advance. I mean, I've seen crossword constructors say, I submitted this puzzle years ago, which I suppose doesn't necessarily mean it was scheduled that far in advance, but that can be the lead time. Anyway, the reason I say it's appropriate is because the great director Jean-Luc Godard of Breathless and many films of the French New Wave passed away just a few days ago. Okay, so there we have that. And then rival you kind of like. A frenemy. And her pronoun partner, so obviously the pairing of her as a pronoun would be she. And then not going to happen. You could say, not going to happen. And here we have lacking the resources. This I in Wowie looks less likely. Maybe that's not it. Lacking the resources. Or unfunded or unable, maybe. Does Wowie work here? Wow, maybe Wowie with two E's? That looks slightly less common, but they're both kind of made up words. I mean, all words are made up, but by that I mean, I think sort of improvised words in relatively recent history is my suspicion. So lacking the resources, unable maybe? Because that could apply to any sort of resource in theory. Counts on, relies on. So what about this B? Kind of discount. Not sure. What about this? Pool shade. Pool shade. I'm assuming. Oh, no. I was going to say, I thought this was going to mean some kind of tree or something by giving you shade at a pool, but no, it might be aqua, the shade of water in the pool, meaning a color in this case. So does that work here? Backless shoe. Is that a mule, I think? I think that is what that's called. And then jabbers could be yaks. It's a common word. Kind of discount. Oh, bulk discount. Right, you buy in bulk and you get a discount. Economies of scale kick in. So this looks like quiet here, surely. Oh, and it is librarian's go-to parenting phrase. So indeed, it will be quiet. So we'll come back to that. But let's get some of these easier ones. Dance with a paradiddle step. Oh, that's interesting. Paradiddle I think of as being a drumming term. You do paradiddles. It's a, sort of quick, it's drills and things you can do on the drums. I don't remember exactly what a paradiddle specifically refers to, but so that I wonder if that percussive element of that, maybe it's actually being used in the same way in tap dancing. That would be funny. I never, if that's true, I never knew that. So let's see. What about this? Maybe one, maybe both. Any of? That doesn't sound right. Jen Blank, 2021 to 22, White House Press Secretary. Oh, Jen Psaki, I think. Was the White House Press Secretary for a time. Didn't necessarily know she wasn't anymore, but nothing. Nada. There we go. Words of reassurance. It's okay, or okay, or I'm okay, maybe? There we go. Oh, maybe one, maybe both, and or. There we have it. And actress Gar, Terry Gar. Not out of the running. If you're not out of the running, you're in it, in a competition, still in it, still in the running. Okay. So great. Oh, let's play the quiet game. There we go. There we go. So this is looking for the carrot approach rather than the stick approach. We're trying to entice children to be quiet by making it into a game instead of a bit of discipline, as most of these have been. Maybe that's the resigned parent who's been yelling and screaming and then finally is trying a different method at the very end of this large crossword grid. But anyway, we have not yet reached the end of this large crossword grid, so let's keep looking. Rock used to make ultramarine. Oh, I don't know. Interesting. So that blue shade. What about this? Clean Air Act Organization, the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, presumably. Oh, lapis lazuli, maybe? Lapis? That's a blue stone. So that's probably the answer. What about this? From the get-go, at first, maybe? And basic personal information. Age, I suppose, would be a bit of basic personal information. If one accepts the facts, one gets it, one gets something, I think. What about this? 2003 Will Ferrell movie, Elf. I've never actually seen Elf. I've heard it's actually very good, but just never got around to seeing it. What about this? Spill it. Tell me, maybe? And Google blank, Zoom alternative. Google Meet, I think, is Google's one of those, which you sometime encounter, and it just never always seems quite as good as Zoom, does it? Hotspot in English. Oh, a spot of tea, I suppose. Hotspot in England, sorry. So this is probably obvious, but just to state as a crossword convention, when you see something like in England or something, often it'll be a city name as opposed to a country name. Often what that means is we're just using it as a way. This looks like it would be, some kind of natural spa or something, a hot spot in England, or maybe a popular destination in England. But no, most generally when that happens, the place name, especially when there's a question mark, the place name is just being used to indicate that we're talking about something more common in that place or a word used in that place, that kind of thing. So in any case, you have a hot spot of tea. Okay, GPS calculations in brief. ETAs, estimated times of arrival, and a miscreant's record may be arrests. You can have an arrest record. Okay, if something flows slowly, it seeps, and something spooky is eerie. Oh, like a clear night is starlit. There we go. I could not arrive at that for some reason. Knew it was going to be star something, but just couldn't get to starlit. There we go. Okay, if one accepts the facts, one gets real. There we go. There we go. And a tropical vine is, I want to say it ends with an A. It's liana or liata. And I cannot remember which it is, but this is vines in a tropical context. And I can't remember which. Chemical suffixes. Oh, enes looks better than IT. The ITs looks more like a mineral than a chemical. I guess technically everything is chemical, but you know what I mean. So probably, so I think that's Liana. And then Eanes, I mean, I guess this could be something else. But what about this? Okay, Brown Eyed Girl. Is that the Van Morrison song? Okay. And then I Did It is Tada and airport initials TSA, the Transport Security Agency, or whatever it is. And there we go. All right, that was not too bad of a time for a Sunday puzzle. I think I lucked out with a relatively approachable Sunday puzzle, I think. That wasn't too bad. And a very clever theme with some really impressive, very long answers. I wonder how many of these the constructor had to round up in order to find enough that would play well with one another in the grid. Because often when you solve a puzzle like this and then you go read the constructor's notes, which I often forget to do. I need to remember to do that more frequently. Often they will have an additional list of all of the other candidates of this sort of thing that they found when they came up with a theme and they were trying to get things into the grid, because it's just so, I would imagine, especially with these grid spanning answers, I mean, this puts a lot, once you put don't use that one with me, and I told you 100 times, I mean, that puts a lot of constraint into the grid because it crosses so many answers. And there are some unusual letters like the W. So yeah, I would imagine she probably had more of these that didn't end up making it in the grid. Anyway, very clever, well done. So let's just go over them quickly, as we often do. The mechanic's go-to parenting phrase, I'll turn this car around. We have sit up straight, the go-to parenting phrase of the personal trainer. Don't use that tone with me, the conductor's go-to parenting phrase. I told you 100 times, says the weary mathematician parent. You're grounded, the frustrated parental air traffic controller. And finally, let's play the quiet game, pleads the parental librarian. Because I said so. All of these I could sort of sum up. And there we have it. Good solid Sunday crossword. Thanks for joining me for that. And let's quickly just read a few clues from yesterday's puzzle. I'm going to just not do very many of these. So Old Footer points out that I never went back to Patricia Wettig, W-E-T-D-I-T-T-I-G, in the grid, one of the principals in the show 30-something, the character Nancy, married to Elliot. I really loved the early series of that program, says Old Footer. So yeah, I never saw it. It was a bit before my time. I remember it being around, but I think I was too young to be attracted to it. And so never confirmed that Wettig was indeed the actor's name. Craig Jones points out that The Little Rascals was produced earlier than just I think I called it a mid-20th century series, and Craig Jones says it ran from 1922 to 1944. So there we go. It made it to the mid-century, or roughly the mid-century, but started in, you could say, the early 20th century. And finally, Glader, GLA3DR, says Junji Ito, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, who was referenced in yesterday's puzzle, is a horror manga author. So Japanese comics, known particularly for the very unsettling nature of his stories and art style. His most well-known story is probably The Enigma of Amigara Fault, in which visitors to the site of an earthquake find themselves inexplicably drawn to human silhouette-shaped holes in the side of the fault in Amigara Mountain, each of which seems seemingly shaped for a specific person. Interesting. So there we go. And that's that for today's video. And for today's puzzle and for yesterday's clues. So I'll be back tomorrow for the Monday puzzle, which should go more quickly than this one. The most approachable puzzle of the week generally. I hope you join me for that. But until then, do have an excellent remainder of your Sunday. Take care.